What's up, everybody? This is BR, and today I want to talk about Apex's maps, and really get down to what really makes a good Apex Legends map. I think I speak for everyone when I say that we are all very grateful that we have multiple maps to rotate from in Apex Legends, especially since for the past 2 years we've received 3 new Battle Royale maps, ever since just starting with one with Kings Canyon. And each map has been very distinct from one another. But with each new map, we always wonder if it's good or not, especially since most of the time with a new map release, we're stuck with it until the end of the season, and probably even a couple seasons afterwards as well. So it's always to our best interest that these maps turn out very well, and that they play well while also being interesting and unique. So it's really got me thinking, what makes a good Apex Legends map? And it's really a hard question to answer because, well, everybody's got different tastes. Even though Stormpoint is considered one of the worst maps in Apex, many people do enjoy it. And those same people probably consider Olympus to be the worst map, while others consider that World's Edge is the best map in the game. So I was wondering if maybe there was something that was consistent between all these maps that make them shine or make them suffer. And I think I have a pretty good idea on what they are. Now, one of the most noticeable components that make a very good Apex map is with the POIs, also known as points of interest. These are the areas in a map which are usually very detailed, with extremely dynamic geometry that just makes them interesting to fight in, usually designed from the ground up. Of course, if a map has multiple great POIs, then it becomes a lot more memorable because, first off, you have multiple choices in the map to choose where to land or where to go to during gameplay. This prevents the map from being super boring because, well, you can always change it up next match. I think one of the best examples is World's Edge, with multiple POIs and many things to do, such as with the Vault Keys or the Bloodhound Trials. It not only makes it a great map because of its gameplay, but also because, well, it's just fun to explore. Secondly, with multiple great POIs, the player lobby is spread thin enough so that matches don't consist of 10 squad skirmishes on a single point of the map for the first round, and then the rest of it is just trying to look for other players, which in turn prevents third parties. The worst offender of this, of course, has to be Stormpoint. A lot of the POIs in Stormpoint are really not that interesting, and a lot of them do lack in the looting area. For whatever reason, it always feels like there's not that many weapons and way too many attachments in a lot of the POIs in Stormpoint. Add to that the IMC lockers are a lot more preferable, and POIs in Stormpoint pretty much just become scenery backdrops, almost as much as the filler itself. Of course, World's Edge doesn't have this kind of problem because it has multiple great POIs, which makes multiple places appealing to land to. Which kind of leads to my next point, where having multiple choices of where to go really does make a good map. Being stuck in a position where you know that you're just gonna die at the end because you really have no other choices really sucks, so having the choice to go move somewhere else or even escape a fight really does add to the quality of a map. Of course, the worst offender has to be Stormpoint because it has a lot of open spaces where if you get caught in them, it really does feel like you can't do anything. You get nickeled and dimed in damage until you die, and well, that's never fun because it almost feels like there was really nothing else you could do. Which is worsened because the only real way to rotate around a map without a movement legend is to either take the launch pads or try to ride with a trident. Which, I don't know about you, but they are just not as reliable as a jump tower. Jump towers are just definitely a lot better than the other modes of rotations, especially since they never really do lose their usefulness until something like 4th round. Unlike a ramp, which really loses its value when the destination is outside the ring, or a trident because it's really loud and you take a lot of damage if you get shot at. So Kings Canyon, World's Edge, and Olympus really do fare better when it comes to choices, especially when you don't have a movement legend on your team. And finally, I think the biggest contributor to what makes a good Apex Legends map has to be size. Third partying has always been a community issue, and I really think that they were trying to fix it with Stormpoint, and so they made it really huge with a lot of POIs that were spread out. The only problem is that a lot of those POIs aren't really preferred, and because of that, the player base wasn't really that spread out. So what would happen is that a lot of people would hot drop in the beginning, and then after round 2, there would only really be 7 squads left, making the rest of the match a just huge bore. Compare that to Kings Canyon, where people really do groan at the fact of how small it was. And it's still pretty small even after the expansion caused by Season 8. So third partying is kind of an issue with Kings Canyon, but still people kind of do like that more frantic gameplay, rather than having to wait like 3 rounds in order to find another squad. World's Edge and Olympus really seem to have hit the nail in the coffin when it came to map size. They really aren't too big or too small, they're pretty reasonable sizes. Big enough that 60 players can comfortably land on it, but also not big enough that none of those squads will ever fight until like round 3. And those are pretty much the reasons on what I think makes a good Apex map. Though I could be completely wrong on this because, again, we only have 4 maps to compare, but unlike many other games, we really don't have the number of maps to really compare and contrast on what really makes a good Apex map. But then again, I am very grateful that we have 4 maps in rotation compared to the 1 or 2 that many other Battle Royales have. And while Stormpoint might be a below than average map, it's not the worst thing in the world. Though sometimes when I do see it on rotation, it just kinda makes me groan and makes me consider launching another game. But tell me what you think about the maps of Apex. What really makes a good map for you? Tell me your opinion down in the comment section below. If you found this video interesting, like it if you liked it, dislike it if you disliked it, and if you'd like to see more content like this in the future, consider subscribing and I'll talk to you later.